On Labor Day at the Pop Culture Cult, we do two things: drink beer and drink whiskey. Hello, cult members. Welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And yes, it is Labor Day, and yes, we are doing a show.
Yes.
This is called The Big Show. Bum-ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
We are laboring on
We are very much laboring because beers are heavy.
We did some housework earlier.
We did do some housework. We're in the process of trying to... Downsizing is not the right word. It's lot sizing. Lot downsizing is what we're trying. We're trying to move to a townhouse, and so we're trying to get our house ready to sell. And
Yes.
with this, we just did a Jack Ryan review, and we kind of try to rush through that. This one we don't have to rush through, so I need to just calm the fuck down.
Woosah.
This is the big show, so we can spend some more time talking about stuff.
Right.
And,
Right.
yes, we are actually doing a show on Labor Day. Normally we do them after dinner in the evening and whatever, but we decided to do it this afternoon. We have a little bit of business stuff that we want to talk about. A lot of it isn't really breaking news because of the holiday, but it's stuff that we wanted to talk about anyways.
Yep.
And so we're going to get into it. First thing we want to ask though is that you subscribe to our channel. We do this out of the goodness of our heart, where we sit around and just BS about pop culture stuff.
He BS's. I tell the truth.
I sling poo, she slings truth. Sometimes it reverses. But what we ask from you is that you subscribe to the channel. That's all we ask. We ask you two things. Subscribe to the channel and share with your friends. We are trying to build a culture and a cult around here, and we have all kinds of great ideas. We're just waiting for enough subscribers to go forward with all of this.
Right.
And there are just discussions of a movie talk and a TV talk. Big shows. So
we're still working out
the kinks and stuff like that.
There's a lot of TV. Can't fit it all into the big show.
Yeah,
it would then be a really big show.
It's a really big show. The hope is to kind of make them too easier to consume shows, but that hasn't really worked out yet. And some of us, the two of us, have real jobs, so we can't sit around and watch 17 shows at the same time. Josh McCouga.
True story.
I watched the first.
How do you watch 17 shows at the same time?
I watched the first TV talk back on Collider TV Talk, Collider Video, and they brought TV Talk back, and they talked about Josh McCouga, and he's able to like watch 3 shows at the same, like 2 shows at least at the same time, and if it was something like he needed to really pay attention, he would do one a show, but he would binge it all at once. And stuff. I don't know how he does it, and he's able to keep up with stuff. And a lot of the stuff that he watches is stuff that we don't watch. So he was talking about like This Is Us and a lot of the whatever. Which it's amazing if you're into those shows. We're not into those shows, so whatever. So we do our best to talk about stuff that we like.
We like weird stuff like Legion
and Taboo
and
Alienist.
Yeah, we like weird stuff.
We like and Ancient Aliens, because we're those people.
Aliens.
So we're gonna get into it this week. We're gonna talk about first is kind of maybe not necessarily newsworthy, but we kind of been dealing with it all weekend. This weekend in Atlanta has been Dragon Con. Now, Dragon Con is this. It is a larger con held in Atlanta. Actually, they still have stuff going on today.
Yeah.
For the holiday.
Yeah.
But it is a 4-day con. They have a big parade, and it actually is cosplay Super Bowl.
Yeah, it is. If you are into the cosplay this is the con for you.
Yes, and they have a lot of they have like a lot of regular guests that we would get here at our Phoenix Comic Con.
But they're not into like how many that's Salt Lake Comic Con, right? Or maybe Emerald City. How many big names can we possibly pack into one con? Their thing is more like we'll get a couple, and then everybody's going to go party at the Marriott.
Yeah, the Marriott Hilton. We have not been there, and so we cannot say out of knowledge.
But we have friends.
We have friends who have been there, and we have Amy is there from Salt Lake. She's actually there this week. This is her vacation. She goes, and she does some stuff with live steel, medieval combat, and stuff like that. And so they've all been posting pictures, and I've also been on the hashtag of DragonCon. The party is not the con.
Right.
It's the party at the Hilton and the Marriott.
Right. Well, okay. So to give you an idea, when your cosplay involves including the pattern for the carpet of the Marriott.
Right. Right.
There was a kid was it the Hilton or the Marriott? That was his cosplay. He came as the hotel.
Yes. And it's like it's so next level. And it just the cosplay stuff that's going like I love the guest panel stuff. And the last couple of Phoenix Fan Fests, what do they call it? Fan Fusion now.
Fan Confusion.
Confusion, whatever. We've really enjoyed some of the smaller panels, the author panels and some of the other stuff. But I really like the guest panels. So I've always thought like going to a big con in some other place, whatever, is about going to no, not with DragonCon. DragonCon is sitting on the floor at the hotels and
watching people
watching the party.
Yeah, or going to the parties.
There was at least 4 or 5 different parties going on, not including what was going on. I've been drinking beer all afternoon. Sorry, not including the party that was going on inside the hotel.
Right. So I feel like this is what Phoenix lacks, is an identity. And they keep like, oh, we're going to be this. And then there's no execution. So then, like, we're going to be the comic book Comic-Con. Whatever. You can't use the word Comic-Con anymore, whatever. We're gonna do that. And then it's kind of a half-ass attempt. And then we're going to be the party, and the Hilton and the Sheraton,
the Hyatt
and the Sheraton were kind of doing the party thing, but I don't really think they had the hotels behind them 100%, and so there was some complaining, I guess, happening, so that kind of petered out. And then we're gonna do the Jedi walk, but I just
the last couple of years they've been trying to push the voiceover actors. A bunch of the voiceover actors,
and
have
that's
been coming.
Cool, but I don't think that's enough to get people.
No,
they need to figure it out. They need to figure out what they are, what they want to be, and do that.
Sabaton Con was going on at the Sheraton this weekend, which is all just like anime, Japanese going on, whatever, and that's like hugely well attended for our area, a local area, but it's also very well attended for that genre, whatever.
Yeah, and that's whatever. But I mean, they want Phoenix to be bigger, and they rent the whole convention center, and they, they need to figure it out. Figure out what they're going to do and do that.
We've been talking about this a little bit lately. Phoenix Fan Fusion right now is doing essentially like super discounted tickets for 4-day passes, and it's like $50 for 4 days. It's like 2008 pricing for 2019's event, and we've talked about it. We're going to go. We're going to go to Phoenix Fan Fusion Comic, whatever the fuck I'm going to call it. We're going to go at least for 3 days, and we're trying to decide if it's worth buying tickets now or waiting until we actually find out who's coming. And we also want to do DragonCon.
Yeah.
DragonCon, like we kind of joked about it, like we can never be at that level of cosplay. And I'm like, I'm buying a secondary camera, and she's going that way, and I'm going that way, and we're gonna take pictures of everything for the entire day, and then go back and download everything. And we have friends, and her family live in Seattle, so Emerald City is something that happens to be something that we are having a long conversation about. Partly because it's Seattle, because of her family, but also we can go to Funko headquarters and Everett, and then
Archie McPhee's in Portland.
And Archie McPhee's in Portland, so it make like 4-day weekend or 5-day weekend or 6-day weekend, and we could kind of do Portland and Seattle, whatever. But then also FanX in Salt Lake is going on next weekend, and even though they've had Ben Affleck drop out and Dick Van Dyke drop out, their guest list. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm talking about driving 10 hours just to get an autograph from David Tennant. Like
the thing with that is, we get a bunch of dropouts.
The last few years have been really bad,
every year we've had probably 6 or 8 people drop out, which would be okay if they still had the talent to fill in those gaps, but they don't. It tends to be like you have 3 of the people from what was it this year, Guardians of the Galaxy. You had like
Sean Gunn, Michael Rooker, and David Bautista, and Dave Bautista dropped
out. And so when you've got 3, it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. But now you've only got 2, and they're kind of secondary characters.
And they ended up not doing a joint panel.
They didn't do a joint panel.
And joint panels can be a lot of fun.
It's kind of happened the last couple years. So
we had Shatner this year. Shatner was cool, but Shatner's 83 or 84 or whatever. We had Tim Curry, who didn't do a panel.
Yeah, because he's had a stroke.
Because he had a stroke, and he's going to be at FanX in Salt Lake. And so back to what we were talking about earlier. I love the guest panels. I want to go to a bunch of really cool guest panels, but what I really, really want is I want Phoenix to be in that conversation of Emerald City, New York, Dragon Con.
Yeah.
None of them are going to be San Diego. We're never going to be San Diego.
Right,
because
but like I said, they need to pick what it is that they're going to do.
Yeah.
They're going to support, they're going to push, and stay with that and push it. Because you can, if you're going to be the comic book con, the comic book writers and artists.
What amazing Las Vegas did the last couple of years. They've
right.
had a lot
if
of
that's what you're going to do, fine. Stick with it and actually push it and promote the crap out of it.
Yeah.
But don't do a half-assed job, and then when it doesn't do what you thought it should do, you don't get behind it. So, pick something. And
so as we sit right now, I feel like we're gonna do Phoenix Fan Fusion, and we'll do at least 3 of the days. As we get closer and get a better idea, we may stay downtown and do the whole con experience, whatever. But really, I think next year we're going to do something.
Yeah.
Outside of us.
I would rather save the money.
San Diego, Emerald City, Dragon Con, New York. We'll do something along that line. And
if nothing else, it would be super cheap for us to fly to Salt Lake.
Fly to Salt Lake, and like the other thing is like WonderCon goes on in LA.
Yeah.
And that's, again, that's in that kind of that March time period where it could be interesting to go to and that kind of stuff. So really what it comes down to is we're super jealous of what happened in Atlanta this weekend with WonderCon.
Yeah, we stopped Dragon Con. We stopped talking about Dragon Con and started talking about our own.
And we're super jealous of John Borman's karaoke disco night that they had at the Hard Rock last night. This is Borman. He's our spirit animal. Oh, my God. If Borman's here, we're getting a hotel room and do at least one night so we can go to the, the party. And
yeah. It's YMCA.
So awesome. He came out as Xerxes and then lost his skirt, and so he's wearing booty shorts. Xerxes.
Xerxes is somebody else.
Xerxes is the guy from 300. I've been drinking whiskey all afternoon. We're moving on. So last week, added to the list of Star Wars Episode 9 actors, we got Matt Smith, the Doctor, and he is going to be a key role in episode 9. Now, key role. Now, they've been filming for a couple of weeks with the main cast, and they've been slowly adding people the last couple of weeks. They added Dominic Monaghan the week before, which we talked about in the previous show.
Yep.
And then this last week, they added Matt Smith. They've also added Kerry Russell. They've asked Richard E. Grant and Naomi Aki, who the last three have all been hired before they started filming.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that they're going to be bigger roles, whatever. But Doctor Who universe collides with Star Wars. I have a Star Wars tattoo and I have a Doctor Who tattoo. like my whole world exploded when Matt Smith got hired episode 9.
It's true.
I'm like, oh my god, like crazy.
Yeah. I tried to bring him down by telling him it was going to be a Daniel Craig role, but
it's more than a Daniel Craig role if you hire Matt Smith and say key role. There's more. I'm expecting his role to be more than Benicio del Toro's role. I think Dominic Monaghan's edition is more along the line as Benicio del Toro's DJ character.
Yeah. I guess you could define Benicio del Toro's character as a key.
He's a key character in that movie.
He's just not in it very long.
He's not in it very long, and a lot of people complained about what his role was, and I completely agree with that.
I think it was.
I still love his character. He could have been Ezra. He should have been Ezra. Oh my God, Ezra. But I get why people complained about it. I still like that character he played.
Yeah, I did too. I just wish there had been more of him.
Right.
Yeah.
But the speculation, anything, as soon as they add a new cast member, the internet says it's Ray's dad. It's not Ray's dad. I'm breaking hearts and minds here. That it's not Ray's dad. But he kind of has the look of a first order officer.
Yeah.
And I'm so in the Aftermath series. Spoilers for the Aftermath series if you haven't read it yet. 3, 2, 1. You've been warned. They take essentially the remnants of the Empire, and one group stays and kind of fights this big battle or whatever over Jakku, which is how Force Awakens and Rey is like going through all the ships and whatever. It's the remnants of the Battle of Jakku. But the rest of the fleet flees to the outer reaches beyond the rim, and so there's a lot of questions about what that means. And so him being a first order operative officer or something in that structure from the outer rim coming back in would make a lot of sense.
Maybe. I mean, we don't know what the story's going to be, so we have no idea. He could be another Phasma.
He could be another Phasma. He could be another DJ. He could be another whatever. Some people have tried to say that he's going to be Thrawn. I'm sorry. If anybody's going to be Thrawn, it's Richard Grant.
Well, and Thrawn's, way too old at this point to be Matt Smith.
Thrawn and Ezra get sucked into the outer reaches by the space whales at the end of Rebels. Oh, sorry, spoilers. At the end of Rebels. And that happens right before Rogue One. So it's 30 years.
Right.
It may make sense. Matt Smith's a little too young for that, but Richard E. Grant is not, so that would make sense.
That's why he said.
Yeah.
Matt Smith's too young.
Yeah. I don't care. I don't care. Matt Smith is in Doctor Who and Star Wars. Doctor Who and Star Wars universes are colliding. Oh my God! If he comes to freaking comic fan fusion, whatever the fuck they're calling it. If he comes, he might be getting on the list of we've talked about this in the past. We're not really autograph people. We have a few autograph things, but we're not go stand in line to meet them.
I don't want to pay $80 to have somebody sign a piece of shit.
No, I agree. However, if Matt Smith is here, if John Borman's here, if Capaldi's here, it's a little.
I think you're dreaming.
It's my show. I can dream if I want to dream. Okay. I've got a dream.
Oh my God. Stop.
of
Stop.
signing
Stop.
autographs. Anyways, we are 400 days till Last Jedi. Or episode 9, the last of the Last Jedi. And I'm super happy, at least right now, is the only information that we're getting is casting.
Yeah.
There's no leaks. There's no, it's going to be this.
Well, they just started filming, so.
Well, Donald Gleason, who plays Hux, is like, I'm waking up and having nightmares about what happens in the script and leaking something. And so that just makes me super happy that he's all worried about it and stuff. We just got done. We just did the review for Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime. We just got done watching it, and we just did a review. We're not going to talk about it much here, but we want to tell you that we're going to tag it to the end of this video. Overall, we both really liked it.
Yep.
It was really well done. They spent some money on it. It was totally worth the watch, and go binge it now.
Watch the rest of the show and
watch the rest of our show and then go binge the meow.
Yeah.
But we are going to talk about Krasinski.
John Krasinski.
Freaking too many vowels in the name. I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. But his directorial and writing debut was The Quiet Place. And they came out last week and said, we are going to do Quiet Place 2.
Yep.
And they have an official date of May 15th, 2020. So they have like got the big Universal movie release calendar, whatever, and they walked over and they put their name on it.
Right.
And so they kind of claimed their spot. The first one cost $17 million to make, and it made $332 million. They were going to make a second one. It was going to happen. As of right now, Krasinski is going to be involved with the second one, but it's not clear if he's going to direct it and write it and whatever. And there's no clear what the sequel is going to be. Is it going to be another? Is it going to be another group? Is it going to be somewhere else in the world?
Yes.
Is it going to be a continuation?
My dream, because I've seen the movie. Some people haven't.
I have not.
Krasinski needs to write it and direct it, just like he did Quiet Place, because it's his thing, it's his vision, it's his, feels,
it's his
whatever.
idea, right?
But yeah, I kind of feel like if they do a origin story, like how did we get here, kind of, without spoiling anything. Right. That you're gonna, it's a very small, Quiet Place is a very small movie.
It's a very intimate story.
It's a very intimate movie, story, and that's how they made it for $17 million. There's not,
right.
You don't have big special effects. I think if they go to an origin story, they would be forced to do that, and I think it would lose the feel. So maybe right after, because The Quiet Place seems to be a couple years after everything, after the poo hits the circular device, or just another
part of the we want to get more people with shirt ideas. Poo hitting a circular device, maybe a shirt with like a Winnie the Pooh or something. I
No, you can't have poo hit the circular. That would be sad.
The poo has hit the circular device. Brown shirt, white lettering, sold.
Anyway, so they need to keep it small. They need to keep it intimate, but it needs to be a different story. Obviously, it's not the story of the family and Quiet Place.
Right. There's been some different talks of do we talk about one of the other families in the area? Do we do a prequel with what happens and how we get to this point? Do we do an urban setting? We've talked about that when we talked about Quiet Place in the past. Do we do an urban setting instead of a West Virginia hills kind of setting, which is what the last one was? All of those ideas make a lot of sense, but let's be honest, a studio looking at dollar signs and not anything else is not going to allow them to do anything that doesn't make it. Like, they're going to put $100 million into this thing, and it's going to be off the rails. And
I don't know if it made $300 million. They can say, yeah, we'll spend $100 million to make $300 million, instead of just sticking with maybe give it a little more money and say $30 million. You've almost doubled the budget.
Yeah.
But still keep it small and intimate, and that's the point. It's almost a play on words.
I would be okay with them doing maybe not the same model, but the kind of the same general idea that they're doing with the Purge universe, where it's different locations throughout during the Purge, and then they go back and they do a prequel at some point in time, and then we have a TV series which is about to come out, and that kind of idea. I like that general idea of what they're doing. And so I thought it was cool. They're of course they were going to do a second one after, they quadrupled their budget, and so of course they were going to make another one. And this is another example too. We've talked about this a bunch on the show. This is another example of studios allowing good creators to make good stuff and keeping their fingers out of it. You're going to make money, instead of a Warner Brothers coming in and putting their fingers on all the pies and trying to mess with it, and it has to be under 2 hours, and it has to do all this stuff. And just
I think it's funny that some of these smaller independent A studio, what is it called? Studio A, and A24, and the H Brothers, and some of these smaller Blumhouse.
Yeah,
they make these smaller budget movies, and they're making, compared to their budget, an obnoxious amount of money.
Yeah.
Whereas these big studios, compared to their budget, they're really not. They're maybe doubling their money, not affiliating their money.
Right.
I mean, 17 million to over 300 million is just obnoxious, right? Whereas 150 million for, the DC, and they make 350.
You're barely making back, including production and your advertising. You're probably making back your money. And
so these little studios are making way more money.
Yeah. Crazy Rich Asians just crossed $100 million.
Yeah.
But in the States, their budget was 30 or 35 million or whatever. I mean, they're killing it.
Yeah, and they're gonna make a lot of money overseas, and then DVDs and all that.
It makes So what we're trying to get down to is, how much as we love Infinity War and Star Wars and all that kind of stuff, sometimes, more often than not, these smaller movies are probably better because the studios don't get dick with. They don't dick with the creators.
They don't care. They're just like, here's some petty cash. Go make your little movie.
And let's do our thing. Talking about little movies, we went on Sunday and saw Searching.
On Sunday?
On
Friday?
What day is it? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday. On Friday, we've been drinking whiskey. On Friday, we went... I don't need you to explain to them who I am. On Friday, we went and saw Searching, which is the new movie from John Cho. Cho, or is it Chow or Cho?
Cho.
And it is about a single dad, and his daughter goes missing, and he uses social media and everything to help find her.
Yep.
And we did a full non-spoiler review. I'll also tag that to the end of this video. But overall, we both really liked it.
Mm-hmm. I really liked the different way of filming. It's all, like you said in the review, it's basically like you're watching your desktop for most of the movie. You're watching him open Windows and watch video and all this
doing
stuff.
Searches and stuff like that. And it's kind of a cool, different way of shooting a movie. They were shooting it via webcams and FaceTime calls and stuff like that. It was just kind of a cool, different way. Steven Soderbergh did a whole movie with his iPhone that came out earlier. It was a horror film that came out earlier. And so I love that these, back to the creators creating cool stuff and trying different things. It doesn't necessarily always work, and it doesn't necessarily work for all people. But I love the fact that they're being allowed to do that stuff and do
absolutely
and try new filming concepts, trying new plot comment. A lot of people are complaining that we get in a lot of remakes or sequels or whatever. Here's an original movie, not necessarily an original concept, but an original way of looking at it. And I thought that was really cool.
Yep.
So, but like I said, I'll tag our review to the end of this video, so please go watch that. It is a non-spoiler, and then support a movie like Searching.
Yep.
It's definitely worth seeing.
Yep.
The last thing we're going to talk about this week is the DC Universe. It is the streaming service that is coming to your platforms all over the world. Actually, just here in the States. It's so I want to start off by talking about what happened Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it was Wednesday.
They did a 2.5 hour telethon style infomercial on multiple platforms. Now, we watched it tried to watch part of it, but I ended up watching it later on YouTube. But they were on Twitch, they were on Facebook Live, they were on Twitter Live, they were streaming on different platforms and social media and different things around the world. It was hosted by Kevin Smith.
Yep.
Who is some would say a DC shill. I wouldn't necessarily call him a DC shill. He's just
they're giving him a paycheck right now, so it's all good.
He is getting a paycheck right now. But I'm not gonna blame him. But they introduced the DC Universe, and it is going to be a streaming service that is right now you could buy a 1-year subscription. You could also do a month-to-month kind of, I pay my $15 or whatever. But right now, the big thing is if it's $75 for a 1-year subscription. Within that 1-year subscription, you get 3 extra months. So you get 15 months for $75. And what you get out of that is you get a bunch of DC TV shows. So you don't get the Arrowverse necessarily right now, although they're working on it. But you get Lois and Clark, you get Wonder Woman, you get Super Friends, you get a bunch of the animated stuff with animated Teen Titans and
the Adam West Batman.
And stuff like that. And then you get
Batman cartoons.
Yeah, the Batman animated
90s.
series and stuff like that. You also get a bunch of DC movies, so you get Superman 1, Superman 2, that kind of thing.
Right.
You get Batman Forever, all that early Batman stuff. You get Dark Knight Rises, but not Returns. It's not the last one with Bane. But
they're working on it.
They're working on it. It's all contractual, stuff like that, whatever. You get a bunch of new shows. Yep. One of them is Teen Titans, which they did a big trailer and release and stuff like that for at San Diego Comic-Con. But they're also getting Doom Patrol, Swamp Thing, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
You also get, it's called DC Universe Daily. Is a daily DC-based news show. So think Good Morning America, Collider News, that kind of stuff, but it's a DC based whatever. And their cast on that show is Tiffany Smith, who we love from the Schmoes and all that on DC All Access, Hector Navarro from Screen Junkies. We also get Sam Levine, who's in Freaks and Geeks and Inglourious Bastards and whatever. We get John Borman, who showed up with dolls. He showed up with a collection.
Action figures.
John Borman showed up with his action figure dolls from the 50s and a bunch of his old comics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we also get Clark Wolf and like a whole bunch of other people. We get people from DC who were in on the show. Jim Lee was there drawing and talking about stories and stuff like that.
And you get comics.
You also get comics.
And then access to exclusive merchandise, like shirts.
Yeah,
and
the comics
all
are
that
kind of
stuff.
cool. You can put your you can like download the comics and stuff like that onto
Read them on your TV.
On your TV, you can do page
or
by
on your
page,
tablet or
panel.
whatever. Yeah.
It was a really cool presentation for 2.5 hours. Like and we get Harley Quinn Smith, who is Kevin Smith's daughter.
Yeah.
Who's going to be on the show. She's named after Harley Quinn. So I don't.
So
know
here's the questions that I have. So.
Okay.
Disney is also doing somewhat of the same thing, right? DC's content compared to Disney's is going to be very light. I mean, when you put the two of them together,
right, which I think was
DC
why they're working on a lot of the love, the exclusive
stuff,
yeah,
right. And then if DC is $75 a year, how much more expensive is the Disney one going to be?
Right. And that's we've talked about in the show. Disney's got my money. Like when it's available, it's going to happen.
I mean, they can't be much more
than
Amazon, right?
Which is what?
$100 a year.
$100 a year, which is
$119, something like that. I don't know.
So it's like $10 a month or whatever. If
it's
$120, it's $10 a month.
I mean, that's Netflix money, right?
I'm okay with spending $10 a month on a streaming service.
Well, and you would think, I mean, DC and Disney and DC have some content that's already exists, right? That doesn't cost them anything to put the old Adam West Batman stuff up there, or all the Disney Vault, Bambi and all that stuff up there. That doesn't really cost them anything. So then you could take all that money and invest it in some new stuff. But it's just it's interesting. They definitely added all that other stuff.
They added a lot of stuff. They added the big thing for me was the comic stuff. I think
that's interesting. Yeah.
And
I wonder if Marvel's going to do that on the DC
I'm wondering
channel.
if they're going to do the same thing. A bunch of the live shows they're going to do. Teen Titans is the big one right now, but Doom Patrol and the people they're casting in Doom Patrol. Brendan Fraser's going to be Robot Man, so it'd be cool to see him come back and play that character. He's going to voice the character and then play the character in flashbacks. But they spent some money on that particular side. But I've never claimed to be a DC person at all, ever. I have claimed to be a Star Wars, Disney, Marvel person.
Yeah.
And so that's why I've always been like, I'm really interested. But after watching this infomercial 2.5 hour telethon thing, they even make the joke during it, like, let's show the tort board, and that kind of thing. But the three things on that I'm really interested in is the live action stuff, but also the Daily Show. And the reason although it's a DC-based news show, I feel like I'm going to get more out of it because of the people who are on it.
Maybe. There's a lot of that stuff on the internet for free now.
And that's why I've hesitated about being super aggressive about getting this. I'm going to be aggressive about Disney stuff because of the Star Wars stuff that we're going to get, and the live-action Star Wars show and the Marvel stuff that we're getting and stuff like that. That stuff has my attention. We cut the cable about a year ago or so, and now we're at that point now where we start having the conversation of when does it not make any sense anymore for us to cut the cable and buy 7 different streaming services.
Right.
There's going to be some place at some point in time where
it all ends up just costing as much as it did when we had cable. Although it's different, right? It's different content, but yeah, you can't have all of it.
We have PlayStation Vue, or View, or whatever the hell I call it, right now. And the reason we have that is because of the sports stuff.
Right.
Because
we would do Hulu, but Hulu doesn't have live sports. So.
They don't have live sports, and a lot of the live stuff that we can't really track anywhere else unless we're on cable or Vue or whatever like that. So that kind of stuff is why we still have it. But we watch Netflix, we watch YouTube. We do a very little bit of Amazon Prime, which we're talking about getting rid of to get Hulu, so we could do Castle Rock and Runaways and all that kind of stuff. And so, at what point in time does it not make any sense to add another service?
Yeah, you just have to pick and choose what you're gonna, like we said, we're probably gonna get rid of Amazon. We had it for a couple years. It was cool. There's occasionally some cool stuff. I guess the biggest thing is gonna be Doctor Who. But we've tried to do a lot of the DVDs. We have a local.
I talk about Zia all the time. You can bring their name.
Yeah. Up. Well, I was just trying to explain what they were. Kind of like a local pop culture thrift store, I guess. They do. You can trade in your video games and your DVDs and your comic books and all of that, and then you can buy them used. So we try to stock up on our Doctor Who, so that's going to be probably the biggest thing we miss with Amazon. But you just have to pick and choose, right? You can't you can't go out there and spend $100 a month on all the things and then watch. There's just not enough time in the day. You can't watch all the things. Right.
So that's kind of
you pick one, you watch it for a while, and if it works for you, keep it, and if it doesn't, get rid of it and get the next thing.
That's kind of what we've been at, like what we've been kind of dealing with lately, is that we. As much as there's really good TV out there, we just don't have enough time, and I'd much rather watch movie stuff than TV stuff. And so when it comes down to it, do we go see 3 movies in a week and try to fit TV stuff in, or do we stay at home and just binge all the TV stuff? And so that's kind of the juggling act that we kind of have to deal with on a regular basis. What we need is a TV crew and a movie crew. We can do the movie crew. We need a TV crew, and that's what we need to get.
Right.
So that's what our thoughts this week on the big show. We have not a lot going on right now, and so we're getting ready to kind of get into the movie stuff. And so we'll get into that hopefully here pretty soon. What do you guys think? Do you guys getting the DC Universe stuff? Did you see Jack Ryan? Are you looking to go to Salt Lake FanX? If you're going to FanX next weekend, please let us know. We'd like a correspondent on site and all that kind of stuff. So let us know what you guys thought of this week's episode. Please leave us a comment and like this video. You're already here. You've already lasted this long. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for all kinds of new stuff that we're putting up all the time. Also get a hold of us on our pop culture social media network. That's the word. Facebook at Pop Culture Cult. Instagram, PopCultureCult1, and Twitter, Pop_Cult1. And we can also be held accountable on the Stardust app. Download it for free. Follow us. Things. You know what to do. Until the next time, hold us accountable. Good night now.